recognise this little brass ball. Needs a bit of polishing, but very small, very neat. Does something most extraordinary, invented by a German designer about 25 years ago. You should recognise that we had this on our website shop for about 10 years, but that was more than 10 years ago we stopped selling it. Yes, it's a Snail Ball, a snail ball. It will roll down a slope, but very, very slowly. If I just put it on the table, it just sits there like that, and if I move it around, it'll behave as if it's got a weight, which it has at the bottom. But the weight is not fixed, it moves. And you prove that by putting it on one of these green slopes that we devised. So we'll put it on the slopes there and make it slowly, slowly descend, but ever so slowly. Let's do a couple of moves. There we are, a little jerk. What's happening is there's a little ball bearing, well, a fairly big ball bearing actually inside, which is doing the powering, but it's not an empty apart from that. It's actually got a, he called it honey, but it's actually come some kind of silica gel, which is quite viscous, and it sloughs its way through the honey, the silica gel, and gradually advances round and round the inside of the circumference of the sphere, going slowly down, down, down. It takes probably about a minute to fulfill its job. About the same time, within a few years of producing it, the artisan made a giant version of this. Look at this one here. The same idea. It's weighted and appears to be just a weighted ball, but this has got the same thing inside. It's got a much larger ball bearing and it's got the silica gel. So we put it on the ramp and it should start going down the slope and catching up with baby there, grandfather and baby. Ever so slowly moving down as the largest ball bearing sloughs its way through. Yes, it's going to give baby a push in a minute. Extraordinary. Lovely device. We are hoping sometime that the next generation of the family who came up with it will start creating it again and get it into our shop again. So it's one of the most extraordinary things, never copied in the Far East, never copied in America. Just one of those wonderful German inventions that appeared in the market sometime in the early mid-90s, I think it was, when I met the artisan at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. And I just loved the idea of a giant one. It was very expensive. These were about 20 Deutschmarks. This was all of 200, I think it was, so big difference in price. Anyway, I've got a few more of these toy balls to show you. Well, great variety as usual. And start off with something very simple. These are ones you can throw in the air, but these are ones which are tactile balls, and you're supposed to fiddle with them like that in your hand, and it feels really quite nice. It entertains the skin on the palms of your hands with a nice sort of feel to it. It's not stiff at all. They both bend very easily. And they look quite nice too, and you can then toss them around. But it's a feely ball. It's a thing for entertaining your fingers while you're sitting watching something, or a cinema, or chatting to someone in your hands. There's one or two things that don't look like balls, and the usual. That looks like an ordinary looking ball, but actually the front of it gives it away. It's a Father Christmas. And he doesn't just sit there. He's got a couple of cat tabs here. If I lick my finger and touch it, it goes... Whoa! Turn it around, you just see nothing but a ball. That's the tiny little loudspeaker in there. So that's a nice ball. Another one which gave me a little bit of fright when I first saw it was this one here, looking for all the world like a baseball, isn't it? Well, it's half a baseball, and the other half is something quite grotesque, actually. Look at that. What an extraordinary face that is. It's not only highly coloured, but it's got lots of profile to it as well. Most amazing. A crazy ball, they call it. And it bounces after a fashion. It won't bounce very well on the face, but on the side that's nice and smooth, it bounces okay. So it's more a thing to throw and catch, and you throw it to a person showing that side to it. When they catch it, and they suddenly see this extraordinary side. So a little bit of that. This is a straightforward weighted ball. It's quite soft and just sort of bounces as well, but it's got a very, very heavy weight, considering it's made of some sort of foam rubber, stiff foam rubber. But it's nice because it does lovely spinning actions. Because of the extra weight there, it does all sorts of gyroscopic weights. And if I hold it like this and then spin it around, it'll then suddenly topple over, woo, and perform very nicely that, because it's well made. And the weight underneath at the bottom, the eccentric weight, is really quite a large one. So a lot of fun with that. Now here's something I wanted to have a long time ago. These came out in the early or mid-1980s. They're blaster balls, little balls of ceramic covered with tiny little caps like you have on a cap gun. And then each of them is painted over to cover them. So you smash them together nostalgic smell of cordite, cap guns, taking me back to childhood. Yes, well, I have shown those in the previous one, but I wanted to show them again because 10 years later they came up with another version of it, clackers, but with snail balls, with the blaster balls rather in it, and boom, 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 boom. And when you get enough of this going, you'll occasionally hear a crack, which means it's hit a little spark. Haven't found a spark with it. Turn around and another one. Oh, there we are. That was a snap. And then another version came out 10 years after that. Was this funny little bit of rubber, which is it turns these blaster balls into scrunch balls. And the idea is to put it into the large hole like that, with another one like that. And then you don't bang them like that. What you do is you just scrunch it with your hand, and you scrunch away like this, and occasionally, ooh, there was smoke coming out there. Ooh, add some more. Ooh, cordite again, lovely. So scrunchy balls which go crackle, 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 crackle. Lovely idea, that. Very nice new versions of the original blaster balls. Another American came up with this extraordinary thing, Astrojacks, which I've had in my collection for a long time now. This is a very, very clever bit of design work, this. It's actually got 3 balls in it, 2 of which are fixed and don't move. These are at the end. This middle one moves up and down. And with the juggling you can do with it is astonishing. I'll shorten it a bit so I can hold it above the table and then do an action like this. Look at this. Extraordinary. That's because the middle ball, which is loose, has slid up the wire. It's been thrown up by centrifugal force, and it's now doing all sorts of gyroscopic and strange, complicated motions of a compound pendulum or something it's doing. Very, very nice item. And you then take the top wall and occasionally throw it from hand to hand and hand. There's a lot of skillful stuff you can do. They gave it good instructions, and the guy who invented it did show me some wonderful stunts he does with these balls. I think that's a very, very nice idea. It's something that's appeared in the shops 20, 30 years ago and has never gone out of the shops because it's got so much fun to it. And the balls themselves bounce, sort of, you know. But the main idea is this sliding action, creating all sorts of compound pendulum effects, which I think are superb. Here's a nice idea. This is from a sort of magician's prop. It's a small ball, but it's supposed to fit in a big box like that. And of course there's a lot of space in there because it's a big box. So how do you get it to fill the box? Well, you just have to hold it in your hand and breathe in it and do a bit of manipulation, and eventually, oh, there we are. It's grown. It's a growing ball. And of course it's made of foam rubber. All I had to do was turn it inside out, and now it fits beautifully into the box. The growing ball. Very nice little prop, that. I like that. Here's another one which was just a bunch of sweets in a funny container. This was a lot of fun. Inside were sweets. They were a French make, and they called it Napoleon. Yes, you can read Napoleon there. And when I'd repaired the thing, I opened up the bit, and inside was this ball consisting of 2 bits of plastic. When you're eating the sweets, incidentally, you could turn it into a little coin bank, but you just had to squeeze it like this, and inside were a whole bunch of sweets, which were shaped exactly like that, but tiny ones like that. Dozens and dozens and dozens of them. Nice sweets too. At the end of it, you can put it all away empty, use it as a coin bank if you want, but I'm going to put it back into my collection as giant sweets. Well, there we are. And one more here. See, calm down. This is nearly got to the bottom, so it's moving very, very slowly now. Very, very slowly. This one's come off and finished, but that one's just about making the last bit of it. Probably about 10 minutes to go down the length of it, I think. Don't you think? Oh, well. And this is a wonderful ball I mentioned. It's a super bounce ball, and it's got a little hole in it. It goes to the middle of it. And it's associated with 2 other balls, which are all super bounce as well, but they're a bit inhibited because they've got some things through it. And the idea is you drop it on the ground hard, and all the energy from that bounces and hits the yellow ball, which shoots up but can't get any higher than that because the actual stick is 6 seconds of it. Whereas this one here can go all the way down and then come shooting out of the top. Put him in there like that. That sequence now means if I do it very gently, it pops up very quickly. But if I drop this from about 6 foot high, this little ball, with all the energy going from here into here into here, makes it shoot up about 30 feet in the air? I don't know. It'll go way above the ceiling here. So here we are. We'll drop it down and it'll go... Whoa! Oh, that's not bad at all. With a bit of practice, you'll get that going 30 feet, but you have to drop it from 6 foot high to make it. And then you look at all the physics involved in it, which is spectacular. So there we are, a few more of my ball collection. There's a few more to come yet, I think, because there's so many inventive ideas going into creating a ball which is more than just throwing and catching or bouncing. And these things show some of those extraordinary inventions. Wonderful stuff.